Welcome back to Living Local. Domestic violence can happen to anyone. Although there has been progress reducing domestic violence, an average of 20 people are physically abused by intimate partners every minute. In 1989, October was declared National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, a time to acknowledge survivors and be a voice for victims. Joining us in studio today, we have Tammy Hienefeld. She is a domestic violence advocate with Riverview Center. Tammy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So we hear the phrase domestic violence, and for a lot of folks it can maybe mean a lot of different things. What is the definition of domestic violence?
So domestic violence is a pattern of behavior to gain or maintain power and control over a significant other. So that can include, you know, a series of things. It's not just physical. That's what I think what people think of when they hear domestic violence, broken bones, bruises, but there's so many layers to domestic violence. It can include verbal abuse, name calling, threats, being put down. It can include sexual abuse, financial abuse, you know, not being able to work or spend their own money. So yeah, anything that is going to basically take power and control over that person.
Wow, there are so many layers to this. You're right. I think a lot of folks think of, you know, the physical aspects of it, but there are so many deeper layers that can fall under this umbrella of domestic violence and domestic abuse. Now, are there any warning signs that we can be aware of that maybe signal that domestic abuse could happen?
There are some warning signs, red flags. One would be very early on in the relationship, if the other person is trying to push that along further, trying to, you know, get serious immediately. Could be a warning sign. Other warning signs could be extreme jealousy. So maybe they're jealous of, you know, your friends, your family, your kids, or, you know, your coworkers, things like that. Another warning sign would be controlling behavior. So if they, you know, are trying to limit and control where you go, who you talk to, what you wear, it was definitely a warning sign. Some warning signs otherwise would be, you know, if they have a very short short temper, I guess is what I'm trying to get to. Like if it can be really, really nice and sweet, and then angry and irritated in a very short period of time.
Kind of like Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, is a warning sign. You know, if they're trying to intimidate by punching walls or slamming doors, things like that. They're harmful to your pets or children. That's another warning sign.
Tammy, in your experience, why do you think it is so difficult for people to get out of a domestic abuse situation?
Well, it's difficult because chances are, by the time it has gotten to that point, you know, they have a lot of time invested. So they could have had their self-esteem chipped away slowly, you know, over a period of time. That makes it more difficult, but you know, they loved this person at one point. They probably still do. So we go through, you know, there's a cycle of violence with domestic violence, and the first phase being the honeymoon phase.
Right.
Everything's wonderful and peaceful and good. Phase 2 typically is the tension building phase, and survivors refer to that as a feeling of walking on eggshells. So something has shifted. You know, that person might be aggravated more easily, or, you know, upset more often. And then the third phase being the blow up. And that could be, you know, anything from physical to verbal. It's the shortest phase. But typically right after that phase is the honeymoon phase again. So that's typically where they see a glimpse of who they fell in love with. And that's what they want. And so they usually, you know, a lot of times they get, you know, they apologize and they offer to go to counseling and they promise it'll never happen again, everything that they want to hear. And so, you know, if you combine that with other obstacles, maybe they don't have family or friends around. Maybe they don't have a way to support themselves or feed their kids. So combine those other obstacles, and fear is another big one. Maybe they've been told if they leave, something's getting, they'd kill them, or they'd find them no matter where they went, things like that. So when you get the honeymoon phase after the blow up combined with all the other obstacles, that's what makes it extremely difficult.
Yeah, it can be incredibly challenging to get out of that sort of situation for all the reasons you just mentioned. Now, Tammy, you are a domestic violence advocate. So what do you do, what role do you play in helping people through all of this?
So a domestic violence advocate is going to advocate pretty much anything that that client would need. The biggest part of what I do would be court advocacy. So we would advocate in civil court and criminal court. So civil court would be things like an order of protection, if that's what they decided they needed or wanted, or providing support throughout a divorce hearing. Criminal court would be if they are a victim of a violent crime, domestic related, so maybe a domestic battery. And then I would explain to that survivor, what her rights are as a victim, explain the court process to her, go to court and provide support with her or for her if she, declined going, and just keep her informed of the progress of that case.
It sounds like this education empowers the individual, and it's interesting because domestic violence, like you said, often starts because of power, of someone trying to, maintain control over another person, and the help that you provide empowers that individual to regain that control back.
Right. Yeah, we never ever tell them what to do or encourage them, really. I give them what their options are and let them, empower themselves to make, they're the best judge of character for their own life, what they want to do. We do an awful lot of safety planning with clients, so if we do have a client that isn't ready to leave yet, for whatever her reason is, then, we will respect that. We don't judge her for that. We will safety plan with her so she can stay as safe as possible, and encourage her to reach out to us if she needs to at any point in the future.
What a vital resource in our community. Tammy, thank you so much for all the information and for being with us today.
Yep, thank you.
If you guys would like some more information, you can visit riverviewcenter.org. They offer a wide variety of services. We'll also have these details posted on ourquadcities.com.